Hey guys, glad to see everyone at our weekly top room. Rest assured you are not waiting here since it's gonna be a very hot topic today. But let's dispense with the formalities first. So please drop me a quick message at the GoToMeeting chat box if you see the picture and can hear me well. Good, good. Then let's start now. And first of all, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Bogdan and I am Solutions Engineer here at StarWind. And to say we are very busy now would be an understatement. There are a lot of projects we are working on and one of them has already reached a pre-release point. That's exactly the one we are going to discuss today. And is it safe to say that this is the solution you all have been waiting for? I'm sure of it, really. So please welcome our new virtual storage appliance that now is based on Linux operating system. Sounds promising? So let's have a look at it. Okay, let me then move on. Right, that's me. Let's skip this slide. Alright, now I'm going to briefly describe the main idea behind our new VSA, and then we'll jump into our demo servers and review its configuration. At the third part of the webinar, we'll try to cover all your questions. Right? Okay, so storage appliance. I was already playing around it in my home lab, and yeah, it was awesome really. And now we have deployed it at our test environment. And the first thing I'd like to mention is installing and configuring. Virtual storage appliance is provided as OVF template, so it can be quickly deployed at your existing infrastructure, and this procedure doesn't assume any downtime at all. I mean, just a few clicks of your mouse and you have StarWind SAN VM already residing in your hypervisor node. And then you'll be configuring everything from the web console on any HTML5 compatible internet browser. Another great news is that StarWind VSA now supports practically all well-known hypervisors. Microsoft Hyper-V, ESXi from VMware, SAN, and KVM. Additionally, we will add StarWind vCenter plugin soon that should simplify even further the handling of your infrastructure. And I mean, greatest advantage, I guess, of course you don't need Microsoft license anymore because now StarWind vSAN is well sitting on Linux. So as you can see guys, high availability infrastructure can be built very quickly, simply, and without additional investments. Right, but it is still a theory. So let's get this over before you guys fall asleep. So we quickly jump into our demo cluster, and first of all I'd like to overview our test environment. So here it is. So let's have a look what we have here. So as you can see on your screens, we have ESXi cluster already configured that consists of two ESXi hosts that in their turn are connected directly, like port to port, right? So as for the networking, let's then have a look at its configuration. We move on to the networking item over here. So let's have a look. We have 3 virtual switches configured on each of these ESXi hosts, and its amount, corresponds to the amount of the physical NICs that now are attached to each of these ESXi box. As for the management virtual switch, we do not much care about it. Instead, we attach special attention to these two guys in the bottom, virtual switch 1 and virtual switch 2, that are completely dedicated to storing operations. So the vSwitch 1 is processing all the client's traffic. We also call it iSCSI traffic. And a second switch on the bottom that has been created without VM kernel port, because we do not need it for this virtual switch. So it is completely dedicated to synchronization. It's doing replication. It's doing replication your data between two ESXi hosts. No NIC teaming. As you can see, this virtual switch has a single network interface attached, right? And then if we will jump into the second ESXi host and take a look at the same thing. So yeah, as you can see, the configuration is the same. 3 virtual switches, and 2 of them are, doing storing operations, are responsible for storing operations, right? The next thing is the storage, obviously. Let's have a look what we have here. So at the second ESXi host, we have a Datastore 2, and the first one we have Datastore 1 and also ZFS pool configured. As for these two data stores, actually this is exactly the place where our StarWind VSAs reside now, and those two data stores are based on flash drives. Right, so then we come into our two StarWind VMs, this one and this one. Like I mentioned before, it will be provided as OVF template, so you just download it and then deploy at your existing infrastructure. But let's then have a closer look at their settings over here. So we have the same amount of virtual network interfaces attached to each of these VM. Management, iSCSI, and sync. And we also have 2 virtual hard disks already attached. The hard disk 1, this is the place where we have installed our Linux operating system, and the second hard disk, it can be used for storing virtual devices. And the same over here, if we'll take a look at the settings of the second VM, we should see the same, right? So again, as you can see, those two VMs are completely based on CentOS x64 operating system, and the same over here. Right, so then what I propose to do now is just reach out to our web console that is already incorporated in each of these VM. So let's then do the following. So I propose to attach a new virtual hard disk to each of these VM, and then we'll get access to StarWind Web Console, where we'll be able to configure everything. I mean, we'll be able to create new LAN, configure the networks, and then create a chain device eventually. So let's then look over all the steps you need to perform in order to create new storage pool between you two ESXi hosts. So I'm going to edit settings item over here. I'm going to add a new hard disk. I don't know, let's say 15 gigabytes. And I highly recommend you to select SIG provision equals 0 with your hard disk, just because of the performance. Because if you want to squeeze out maximum performance from your underlying storage, we don't recommend to create SIG provision equals 0 drives. Yeah, I know that creation of such virtual hard disk may take some time, but again, if you put in the performance first, so this type is a must, Let's specify a data store, and then I hit next and go ahead. So let's just wait a bit until it's created. And in the meantime, we actually got the first question from Joachim, if I pronounce your name correctly. I'm not sure really. So Joachim is asking, does you support RDMA, I guess? Yes, StarWind supports this technology. It will be called like ISRAX, SCSI extensions over RDMA, and yeah, it will allow you to significantly increase the performance at your environment. Yeah, we support it. Right, so we just created provision to get provision the first virtual hard disk. Let's then do the same on the second VM. I click add disk, it's gonna be hard disk. We're gonna create a new one, same amount, space, yeah, seek provision equals 0 and a required data store. And we got another question from Tommy. Tommy is asking when the Linux-based version of StarWind vSAN will be available. Actually, I hope it will be available. I don't know, in a couple of months. Really, I do not have exact information on this, but I believe in 1 month it should be available for downloading. So just stay tuned. And guys, another question from Aaron. Aaron asking, are you using a proprietary file system or something with proven resilience like ZFS? Actually, our two virtual appliances are sitting on standard Linux file system ext4. Great job is done. And that's it at Vsphere client. Then rest of the things, everything you'll be configuring from the StarWind web console. So let me then just open it. We need internet browser. Well, I'm just typing the IP address of the first StarWind VM. Here it is. So let me then quickly overview new improvements and features we have added. So I guess you all see these two items on the bottom, VSA network settings and VSA storage. So at VSA network settings item, you'll be able to configure your networks. So as you can see here, we have 3 Ethernets, 3 network interfaces presented to each StarWind VM. Ethernet 2 is responsible for management operations, and Ethernet 0 and Ethernet 1 are dedicated to StarWind. And if I'm not mistaken, the first subnet, the 11th subnet, is doing replication, and the second one is needed for SCSI, but let me quickly double check it. I'm gonna get back to our test environment. Let me have a look very quickly. Yes, so the 11th subnet is dedicated to SCSI traffic. Right. Okay, so now since we have added new virtual hard disk to each VM, so now if I'll click scan storages, then we should see the new SCSI disk. Here it is. The only thing left is to create a new LAN on top of it. I hit create volume. Here it is. ext4 volume has been created. And then let's reach out to the second VSA, the second StarWind VM, where we should make the same. And just type default credentials. Okay, I click scan storages. And we got the same drive over here. Let's create new LAN on top of it. So then we'll be using this LAN for storing StarWind image files. Okay, so job is done. Right, so we do not need this console anymore because we'll be do everything from the first VSA. Right, so given that we have all the networks already configured, so now we are good to start configuring a new virtual device where we will be able to put our production VMs that should be safe, you know, and protected from any failures at any levels. I mean, would it be losing a whole node or just a network interface on one of these ESXi boxes, some other failures? So in any cases, in all these cases, your workload should migrate to the remaining node in case something happened to one of them, right? So this is the main idea behind StarWind VM, and I, you know, and I'm 100% sure that you all know familiar with it. Okay, never mind. So let's then start. So we'll be using a device wizard in advanced mode. It's going to be hard disk device, a virtual one. Let's then give it a name, I don't know, like test, or let it be Bronson. Don't ask me why. Okay, and then we should place it on our newly created LAN. And 1 gigabyte should be enough, I guess. And go ahead and hit next. Yeah, it will be SIG provision drive, we also call it flat device. And given that we are under ESXi environment, we should use this byte sector size. Okay, so in this step we can specify L1 cache. L1 cache, it is actually your RAM cache, and as you can see, it can work in two modes. Write back, that speeds up both read and writes, and write through, that is caching read operations only. In case of two node scenario, we recommend write back. So as for this size, I guess it should be enough for all these purposes. The next step is adding L2 cache, that is your SSD drives. You can configure dedicated storage pool with your SSDs and then use it for increasing read operations to your environment, because write-through speed ups reads only, like I mentioned before actually. Unfortunately, we don't have any flash drives. I mean, given that we are already sitting on flash storage, it wouldn't have much sense to go with additional L2 cache. So I'm gonna skip it. And the last step, just hit create and close this window. Alright guys, we just created a simple image file, and then in order to make it a J, we should definitely replicate it to the partner side. So we'll be using replication manager for doing so. I hit add replica, and we got two options to choose: synchronous two-way replication and asynchronous one-way replication. In order to make a J device, we need to select synchronous two-way replication that operates in active mode, and I hit next. Let me then reach out to the partner node. We can use DNS or IP address of that node. Let's use IP address. Right, and over here I propose to select heartbeat instead of node majority and data protection mechanism. You know, actually, let me get back just for a second. It's a very interesting topic, but I believe we'll cover it at our next tap room because the guys who were already familiar with our vSAN, who were our customers, they probably even didn't know that we have released a new feature that is called node majority. But again, so just stay tuned, and I believe we'll cover this topic at our next tap rooms. Right, so let them proceed. We're gonna create new partner device. Hit next over here. Let's then specify the location on the partner side. Should be the same actually. Then I hit next. And let me then specify the networks that will be doing replication. And they're all, another important thing is that we'll need to enable heartbeat feature on one of those networks. We actually recommend to enable it on the iSCSI channel and then add additional heartbeat channel, enabling it on some dedicated network interface. For example, you may have a couple of available networks that you are using for, I don't know, for some management purposes. So it is a very good practice to enable to have additional heartbeat feature just in order to make them redundant. As for the sync channels, they have this feature built in. Yeah, we are using this network for replication, and let's then enable heartbeat and iSCSI. I hit next over here. For our test purposes, there is no need to add additional heartbeat, but if you're gonna use your StarWind in your production environment, do not forget to add additional heartbeat, just in order to protect from the split brain syndrome or from any form of data corruptions. Right, let me then hit next and let it synchronize right away. Right guys, looks like we just created our HA device that is replicated across two sides. On the right pane, take a look. You can see here all the settings we have specified before. Right, so let's then just extend it because we're gonna place some test VMs on this arm, on this virtual device, just in order to check if everything is going smoothly. So we have 12 gigabytes available. Let's then extend it to 10, and as a result we should get 11 gigabyte virtual device. I click extend over here, and all those changes should be applied in the partner side as well. Let me just refresh it. Okay, good. Let's then get back to our Vsphere environment. And now, in order to share this device via iSCSI and present it to ESXi host, we need to discover corresponding portals. I'll show you what I mean. So let's have a look. So in order to get access to this newly created device, we need to type two iSCSI IP addresses over here. So as you can see, we'll be using iSCSI software adapter as iSCSI initiator. So I go properties over here and then dynamic discovery. So never mind these two IP addresses on top, just please pay attention at these two on the bottom. So the first IP address, here it is. So it is iSCSI IP address of the first StarWind VM, and the second IP address, it is iSCSI IP address of the partner virtual machine with StarWind software installed. So as you can see, everything is already pre-configured. Now when I click rescan all storage adapters, then we should get access to our newly created storage pool. Yep, here it is. The only thing is that we'll need to make the same on the partner side. just before we scan all the storage, just let me double check the IP addresses. Everything looks fine. Alright, so as you can see, it has already appeared on the bottom. Right, so let's then quickly create a new data store. It's gonna be Vmfs data store. I click add storage. It's gonna be disk or LAN. And then I select our StarWind guy. Go next, next, and let's just give it a name like demo data store. And we're gonna use all available space on it. Right, let's have a look. It is now presented to the second ESXi, and if I will refresh it, then it should be, yeah, and it is now presented to the first ESXi box. Very good. So then let's have a look at MPI settings, because as you all may know, StarWind supports MPIO, and we recommend to use it in round-robin mode. That means that you should have all the available paths in active mode, thus increasing the performance, especially read performance, because your guests will be reading from two instances of a single device simultaneously. As for now, we have just one path that gonna process all the traffic, so let's switch the MPI policy to round robin. Right. And the same things over here on this instance. Okay. Right, so let's then deploy a test VM, just in order to test the correctness of the failover process performing, right? Because that is actually the main intent of StarWind, if I can say it this way. So let's deploy it on the first ESXi host. It's going to be a new virtual machine, and we place it on newly created data store. And I'm going to change the settings a bit. Just assign a less amount of RAM. Okay. Let's then power it on. Right, so let's have a look. Now this test VM is running on the first ESXi, and then with help of shared storage powered by StarWind, we should be able to migrate it between two nodes. Let's then try to do that. Yeah, we're going to change the host and move it to second ESXi box. Right, so as you can see, it has successfully migrated. Alright guys, that's actually it on demo, and now it is time for your questions. But first of all, I would like to introduce my good friend, my colleague Alex, that that's gonna help us with some questions. Hey Alex, do you hear me? Are you with us?
Yeah, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, I hope you're all doing well. So, my name is Alex. I'm solution architect as Bogdan as well. So, we will be answering your questions right now.
Yeah, exactly. So let me answer the first question. For example, let me have a look at the list. So, for example, any plans to support a hardware-based solution? It is Tom, and he is asking if I configure all my infrastructure with Windows Server-based vSAN appliance, when the Linux one will be available, can I migrate to the new system or I need to start in a new configuration from scratch? Uh, Looks like it was another question, so let me just answer for Tom. So yeah, we have Hyper-Converged appliance that we are willing to offer to you. So it comes fully tested, fully pre-configured by our engineers, and I mean we'll be responsible for configuring everything at our labs. So the only thing you'll need to do when it will arrive to to your locations, it is just plug and play. Also, as I mentioned before, our solution supports all well-known hypervisors, so you may require us to install ESXi, Hyper-V, or even Zen server. So, it doesn't matter for us. Actually, just in order to get more information on this topic, I would recommend you to attend our website where you can find a lot of information regarding our hyper-converged appliances. Right, Alex, want to answer some questions?
Okay, so another question. Let me just. Uh, so, can you easily transaction from Windows hosted install to a Linux one? Of course you can. The only thing you will need to replicate your data from Windows 1 to Linux, and then you will be able to work in the Linux-only environment. So that's a possible process, or it will require some steps from you to do. Okay, Bogdan, I'll pass right now to you.
Yep. Thanks, Alex. Another question, we got it from Tom. Tom is asking, any plans for file-based shares, NFS, CIFS? Actually, StarWind already supports them. I mean, you may have for example, let's imagine you have your two storage servers, and then you may configure them in a failover cluster, create a virtual device with StarWind, and then create a cluster shared volumes on top, and then you will be able to create NFS, SMB, NFS or SMB3 file share, and then present it to your clients. So yeah, it can be done by creating scale-out file server from Microsoft. Right, so Alex, find a question.
Okay, Bogdan, thanks. So, good question if we're going to support Vsphere 6.5 and VMFS 6. Yes, of course. So basically, VSA Virtual Storage Appliance works with Vsphere 6.5, and we're right now testing it with VMFS 6. So, of course, we have plans. Bogdan? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so, yeah.
Okay, let me pick up a good question. We have too much question, guys, and that's awesome, really. So another question. Uh, let me pick up it. So is there an ETA for availability on the Linux VSA for production or pre-prod testing? So actually I already answered this question during our presentation. So as for now, to be honest guys, don't have exact information on how and when it will be released. I guess it should be released in 1-2 months. So Alex, what do you say on this?
I assume we're right now working hard on releasing virtual storage appliances as soon as possible. So that's a pre-release. I guess Bogdan already told you thus. I assume maybe a couple months that it will be ready for at least pre-production and testing.
Yeah,
Bogdan?
yeah, exactly. So another question from Joachim. So Joachim is asking, what kind of IOPS are you able to squeeze out of a such setup? I know one other Linux VSA have issues with multi-thread, so they only utilize one core. Is this the case with StarWind VSA also? So, uh, when it comes to performance and when we get, similar questions from our customers about the performance and about the expected number of IOPS. So, this is a very interesting question, and in order to squeeze out maximum performance from your underlying storage, you then have to remember about some of important things like your underlying storage should be capable of utilizing your networks, and this rule works in reverse as well. I mean, you may have, for example, very fast flash-based storage, but your networks are just 1 gigabit, for example, and that's obvious that such setup will be bottlenecked by the networking part, because you would never saturate, I mean, you would never get expectable, number of IOPS in such setup. So the first recommendation gonna be make sure that your underlying storage can saturate your network throughput. And again, and in reverse as well. And as for the multi-thread, so as for the performance, yes, so like I mentioned before, we are dealing just with the pre-released version, and as for the performance, I'm not sure. So our QA department has already tested, and if we'll get some information on the performance metrics on the IOPS, for example, then we'll gladly share this values with you guys. Right.
Okay, another good question is about deployment for KVM. So basically, yeah, uh, we'll provide draw disk image for the actual hypervisor, and you should use any clustered file system. You need to be able to work with it from multiple hosts.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, you're right, Alex. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Bogdan?
Yeah. The only thing looks like we missed a very good question from George. George was asking, hi, could this solution be used as an underlying SAN data store for my Microsoft SQL Server cluster? Yeah, the answer gonna be yes. Again, so with help of StarWind, you'll be able to create a shared storage pool between, for example, 2 nodes, and then present these virtual devices as cluster shared volumes, and then, yeah, obviously you'll be able to place your SQL servers on these cluster shared volumes. I mean, this can be done by configuring a SQL server failover cluster instance. In this case, your SQL server will be operating in active passive state. For example, just one node will be responsible for processing all the traffic, and then if something happened to this node, then a SQL role will just migrate to the remaining node and continue operating from there, in normal state. Yeah, so this is the good case for StarWind vSAN. Yeah, so and then George just added in 2-node master slave config. Yeah, that's exactly what I described.
Okay, so basically, speaking about the beta itself, we're going to pre-release it for testing. Thus, that would be beta for our clients. You will be able to test all features and capabilities of StarWind with Linux and just install it on your hypervisor and test everything. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Alex. Right, so let's then pick up the next question.
Okay, so that's a good question about differences between Linux and Windows solution. So basically, the first and the main benefit that from my point of view is the price, because you don't have to get Windows licenses for building VSA StarWind solution using our VSA. Just take a Linux VF, deploy it on your hypervisors, and build a highly available cluster for your virtual machines. That's like the main thing, from the first thing I would say. Second is much easier and faster to deploy. Just take a OVF, deploy on your hypervisor, OVF, or it would be a VHDX or some other template that could be deployed on a hypervisor. You deployed it, deploy two virtual machines, configure them as Bogdan showed during this chat room, create a StarWind HA image file, connect it via SCSI to your hypervisor, and voila, you're ready to create put some kind of cluster file system on top of this HA image file. And that's like another process of the VSA. It's much faster to deploy it.
Yep.
I guess that's the two best one. Okay, minimum compute and memory requirements. So basically, minimum one, we recommend to have 2 CPUs to the virtual machine and 4 gigabytes of RAM if we are not going to use L1 caching for your StarWind devices. And additionally, you should add additional RAM if you're going to use L1 cache. Hey, Bogdan?
Yep, thanks, Alex. We have a question from Hakon. Listen, man, I'm 100% sure that I didn't pronounce your name correctly. Forgive me for that. So Hakon is asking, how does it handle taking the ESXi down for maintenance? Actually, there's nothing to worry about because your infrastructure will be covered by StarWind, and you'll get a shared storage. That means that each of the nodes will contain consistent data. So in this case, you just migrate your workload to the remaining node, and then you'll be able to safely turn off the node that that you're gonna to fix, or I don't know, to put for maintenance, for example. The only recommendation is that I would just recommend you to do that manually. Even, for example, if you cannot, if you don't assume any downtime at all. Right, let me have a look. So I believe Alex has already answered Michael's question.
Okay, a good question about the I/O performance constrained by the replication NIC. Yeah, you're right. So basically, it would be related with both NICs, iSCSI, NIC for iSCSI traffic and for synchronization traffic. Both of them will be in charge of the performance we'll face from our system. As Bogdan already told you, we right now waiting for the I/O results from our QA deployment. Don't have exact numbers right now. I can tell you that, of course, you can use 10 gigabit channels with our VSA, or I don't have any numbers to tell you at the moment. Bogdan?
Yeah, thanks, Alex. Another question from Belbir. Would there be a free version as well, and if yes, would be the storage limit on it for HA? So I'm 100% sure there should be a free version of our virtual storage appliance, and as for the storage limit, not sure really, honestly, but just for the latest information, we're gonna refuse any restrictions in our free version, but again, it's not all your questions regarding the licensing part. I believe if you take an interest, we'll share them very soon. Because now, again, like I mentioned before, we are just dealing with the preview version, and I believe there are no any expectations regarding the licensing as for now. Just stay tuned, guys, and you'll be the first who know about that. Okay, guys, more questions? Come on, you can just say hello to your mom, for example. I don't know. Alright, so the next question from Tommy. Tommy was asking, do you will have a better version we can use before the first release? I think so. I think so. And if you are so interested in that, you could just reach out to our sales department, just request it. I believe our sales managers will gladly provide you with all eligible information on this and the ways on how to get it. Right, so question from George. George is asking, will this webinar be available offline? Yeah, the answer is yes. I forgot to mention, guys, that it has been recorded, and I believe it should be available on our website tomorrow, I guess. Just stay tuned and attend our website. Hey Alex, we have some other questions. Do you want to answer one of them?
Okay, so how will update? Let me just find a good one. Okay, so first of all, yeah, Bogdan already told you about the webinar.
How?
Oh, of course, we will update the versions of the VSA. They will be on the same level. So, and this same way supported by our support team, thus you don't have to worry about it. We will take a look at everything and help you with if anything needed. Okay, Bogdan.
Right, thanks Alex. So Hakon is asking, will this version be at the same level as the Windows version? Hey man, what do you mean exactly? Could you clarify, really? So as for the functionality, so all functionality should be available in both versions, in Windows and in Linux. So we are not planning to add some limitations or restrictions to our new Linux version. Even more, we're gonna to simplify all those things. Answering to the next question from Tommy again. So Tommy was asking, is the Windows-based vSAN have the web GUI to manage the infrastructure? Yeah, actually I showed you guys. Let me pick up it once again. So here it is, our web console. Now it should be seen your screens. So yeah, like I mentioned before, we're gonna simplify all those things. So practically all the operations with your infrastructure you will be able to perform from this console. I mean, configure everything starting from storage and then networking and StarWind Virtual Device eventually. So it is already integrated in StarWind VSA Appliance. So you just type the IP address of one of the StarWind VM and you get access to this console. Very easy, right?
Okay, so Aaron asks about if Windows-based product being replaced with a Linux version. No, we are going to support both, and they will be both deploy and continue working in our future, and we will support both of them. And another question, just a quick moment. Yeah, from George, a good question about hardware independence. Of course, where the VSA is hardware agnostic, you can use it on any hardware you want. So as long as you have hypervisor running over there.
Yep. Okay, and George added then 10 gigabyte NICs. I assume you meant if we're gonna support 10 gigabit, I mean any models of 10 gigabit network interfaces. Yes, the answer is gonna be yes, but just my personal recommendation gonna be use Mellanox network interfaces just because of RDMA, because as far as I know, this is the only vendor that now support RDMA. So we recommend our customers to go with the Mellanox network interfaces. But we are still well sitting on Intel network adapters as well, and any others actually.
Okay, gentlemen, do you have any additional questions?
Alright, gentlemen, looks like we don't have any more questions for today. Oops, we just got one. Do you need to use device pass-through of an RDMA NIC to the VSA? So it was the question from Aaron. So I believe not. I mean, you can use the standard approach. I mean, just virtualize the network interface. Are you agree with me, Alex?
I'm sorry, Bogdan. Just
you know, I was just answering the question from Aaron. He was asking, do you need to use device pass-through of an RDMA network interface to the VSA? So I don't think so that it is a requirement.
No, you can just add it, just create a virtual switch and add a NIC, virtual NIC to the virtual machine and work with it. That would be more than enough for you.
Yeah, exactly. Alright, gentlemen, the only thing left is to thank you for your attention. Thank you, Alex, for the help.
Oh, a good question from George again, George.
Okay.
Yeah, about ZFS. I don't really know at this moment if we're going to support ZFS in the future. No, it's really a good question. I would really like if we support it in the future. Okay, so Bogdan, I assume.
Yeah, so we are good to finish that. Oh, thank you again. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, all of you. So the only thing left is to wish you long days and pleasant nights. I don't know. And I hope to see all of you at our next job rooms. Stay tuned, guys. Bye.
Okay, bye.